All right. All right. Watching the world burn. Watching the world burn. June 6, 2023. So anyway, I've been out digging in my yard. I hope that you're digging too. Trying to put in a new garden. I've been making videos about that. And I'm just too damn lazy to go in on the computer and edit this and get things going. But this is Russian television, and I just wanted you to kind of enjoy what's on their news. Let's watch what's going on in France. Here we go. Oh, the Western nations, there's nothing going on. Don't worry, man. Everything's happy in Europe. Nothing to see here. Germany's not in a recession now that the United States blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. Nothing's going on. Nothing to see here. I think these globalist elite lunatics are, well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. It seems like the people are pretty mad, huh? And of course, it just goes on from there and shows you all kinds of crazy stuff. I wanted to get to a couple other videos. Well, of course, Iran has unveiled its first hypersonic missile. That's good to hear, right? Wonderful. San Francisco drag queen. You know, we who cares about San Francisco? But by the way, I did want to do some commentary on this video because whether you want to believe that Ukraine blew up the most this is the worst ecological disaster other than the Nord Stream pipeline, which the United States blew up. Of course, you know, all your ecologists and, you know, the leftist lunatics here in the United States, the Democrats, you know, they think that, oh, they're on the right side of everything. Well, guess what? They're on the right side of the war. They want Ukraine. You know, they fund the war. Let's send another $100 billion to Ukraine. But this is what's being reported in Russia, and I just wanted you to watch a couple seconds of this.
Breaking news on the Kakhovskaya hydropower plant, a section of which has collapsed after Ukrainian shelling hit the Kherson region. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has stated that the strike was nothing less than premeditated sabotage.
The president receives reports from the Ministry of Defense and other agencies on what is going on around the Kakhovskaya hydropower plant. We can already unequivocally state that we are talking about a premeditated sabotage.
Watching the world burn, watching the world burn.
Has the potential to have very grave consequences. It is clear that one of this sabotage's aims is to deprive Crimea of water. The level of water in the reservoir is dropping, and so the supply to the canal is being drastically reduced. Apparently, the act is also connected to the fact that having launched a large-scale offensive 2 days ago, the Ukrainian armed forces are not achieving their goals.
Here you can see the aftermath of the dam's destruction. The city of Novaya Kakhovka is flooded as water from the dam fills the streets. Hundreds of houses
Imagine if this were your home.
area are submerged.
What about your town?
RT's Germany correspondent brings us the details from the epicenter of the incident.
I can't even imagine.
Novaya Kakhovka arrived at the scene of the incident. According to Moscow, the Kakhovskaya hydroelectric power station was attacked at night, presumably from Al-Kha. The upper part of the dam was destroyed. There was a flooding of the territories of the Novaya Kakhovka urban district. The population is being evacuated from areas of catastrophic flooding. According to forecasts, the water level will remain for 72 hours and will fall later. Moscow called it a deliberate sabotage of Ukraine. According to the acting governor of the Kherson region, Vladimir Sandu, the incident will not interfere with the protecting of the left wing.
All right, so that's oh my God, I can't even imagine. I mean, and by the way, thousands of animals that died in that attack. Now, what do you want to believe, Ukraine? Of course, the West is saying that Russia blew up their own dam. It just seems absurd to me. Let's watch something cool. This is artillery in action.
Один снаряд зарядить. Готовы валять 2,55. Около.
You know, I just wonder, you never see their faces. They have always got them covered. I guess it's a good thing, Someday I'm sure somebody's going to kill me, but hell, everybody's tried to kill the rooster for many, many years, and I'm sure it'll happen someday. Let's watch this one. This is terrible.
500,000 people live along the border of Russia's Belgorod region with Ukraine.
Now imagine you're living in Texas and Mexico comes across and they're destroying your subdivision.
Used to live here. They were about to go to bed when, just around midnight, more than a dozen Ukrainian rockets hit this area. Now all that remains of their home are these charred ruins, and this woman was widowed by the strike.
Все это что, почему у нас так вот просто пропущено 17 полетов, мыслимо, как это? Я не представляю просто, как
And I have people, they say, well, that cybersecurity guy, why do you only present the Russian side? Well, I only get Russian news. What's coming out of Ukraine? Do you ever see any news that comes out of Ukraine? It seems to me they're on... Well, I mean, if you watch Russian news, they're on the wrong side of everything, right?
It harbors no soldiers.
So we're going to keep going.
It got on the radar of Kiev commanders.
At 7 p.m. I left for work. Then I got a call. I was told that my house had
Imagine
been
living in your
destroyed.
home. I mean,
in the morning I came to take a look at what was left.
this could be my
The
home.
roof was hit, with the blast wave traveled into the garage, wrecking my car. There are 2 more craters in the garden.
All right, I can't watch any more of that. Let's see. Is there anything else here? I don't think so. Let's just get to some other. We've already seen that. Oh, by the way, you know that now we have aliens in the world. Well, let's get to that. Maybe I can find that video because, like I said, I'm not going to edit this. This is Russia-Ukraine updates. Let me see. Oh, this is it. Yeah, God knows. You got to watch this. This is horrible.
Разрушение и что затоплено в результате?
Ну, во-первых, нужно сказать, что самое важное это то, что предела терроризма Украины.
Whether you want to believe Russia did it or Ukraine did it, but I mean, this is what's being played to millions of Russians.
Разрушена 6-я гидроэлектростанция в каскаде Днепровский ГЭС. Это уровень террора, уже нужно рассматривать его.
This is the level terror. I don't know what to compare it to. It's impossible, in fact.
На данный момент что затоплено?
На данный момент у нас
Now the Russian people are enraged beyond belief.
до 5 метров, здесь до 5 метров, полностью под водой находится Днепрянский остров и ниже по течению. Вода неконтролируемо сбрасывается через разрушенные сооружения. Вот такая вот ситуация у нас сейчас, к большому сожалению. Да, все люди, которые требуют эвакуации, автобусы у нас готовы. Мы перемещаем чуть выше для того, чтобы избежать.
All right, it just goes on from there to describe the horror story. Oh my God. Let's see if I got any more here. This was very interesting. I thought this was huge because it shows Russian and Chinese warplanes flying together. Check this out.
Four Russian military planes entered South Korea's air identification defense zone without giving prior notice. SAR's Joint Chiefs of Staff reported a few hours ago that the 8 military jets flew across the Cadiz from 11:52 a.m. to 1:49 p.m. on Tuesday, but did not violate South Korea's territorial area. South Korean military recognized the planes before they entered the zone and deployed fighter jets in case of emergencies. Earlier on Tuesday, China's defense ministry said Chinese and Russian air forces conducted their 6th Joint Area Strategic Patrol in the airspace over the waters of the East Sea and the East China Sea. Cadiz is non-territorial airspace, but it is an area where pilots of foreign aircraft usually identify themselves before entering to prevent accidents.
So, watching the world burn. So the Western hegemony seems to be just falling apart. I mean, now we got Russian and Chinese planes flying together over South Korea. Of course, we have 144 military bases around the world. How in the hell are we going to defend the entire world? How are we going to fight the entire world? I want to ask you that. If you're a U.S. Citizen, tell me how you're going to fight Russia, China, North Korea, India, maybe. I mean, they may become, because 83% of the world seems to be lining up against the U.S. dollar. Where are you going to be when all of this this stuff hits the fan at some point? Religious terror in Ukraine. U.S. calls for finalization of Sweden's ascension into Sweden. Oh my God, they should never have done this. All right, so we're gonna finish up with just, and I'm not sure that I should do this, but Tucker Carlson is back, and I don't think that he's gonna object to me showing him on my channel. Trying to find the video. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm sorry, man. It's on. Hold on. I know. I should edit these videos and not torture you with this. There it is. Benny Johnson, Tucker Carlson. Let's watch him on Benny Johnson, and that'll be it for the video. I'm so glad to see him again. I missed him. I think Fox News made a huge mistake, and
I shall
here we go.
More powerful than you can possibly imagine.
So there he is on Benny Johnson's show.
What's up, guys?
And now he's on that cybersecurity guy.
Then the world will break, and you will have to hop right back online and record Tucker Carlson's first episode of his new show, Tucker on Twitter.
And I am going to go ahead and subscribe to the paid subscription on Twitter.
A man of his word, dropping his first episode on Twitter.
So him and Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, are teaming up.
United States super security.
I think this is huge. I think it's a wonderful thing for the world. I think that this is what we needed. And people, there is true evil in the world, and I hope you understand that.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. This morning it looks like somebody blew up the Kakhovka Dam in southern Ukraine. The rushing wall of water wiped out entire villages, destroyed a critical hydropower plant, and as of tonight puts the largest nuclear reactor in Europe in danger of melting down. So, if this was intentional, it was not a military tactic.
By the way, I'm not monetized. I get no money from this.
Who did
this is all about Tucker.
Well, let's see. The Kakhovka Dam was effectively Russian. It was built by the Russian government. It currently sits in Russian-controlled territory. The dam's reservoir supplies water to Crimea, which has been, for the last 240 years, home of the Russian Black Sea Fleet. Blowing up the dam may be bad for Ukraine, but it hurts Russia more. And for precisely that reason, the Ukrainian government has considered destroying it. In December, the Washington Post quoted a Ukrainian general saying his men had fired American-made rockets at the dam's floodgate as a test strike. So really, once the facts start coming in, it becomes much less of a mystery what might have happened to the dam. Any fair person would conclude that the Ukrainians probably blew it up. just as you would assume they blew up Nord Stream, the Russian natural gas pipeline, last fall. And in fact, the Ukrainians did do that, as we now know. It's not like Vladimir Putin is anxious to wage war on himself. Oh, but that's where you're wrong, Mr. and Mrs. Cable News consumer. Vladimir Putin is exactly that sort of man, the sort of man who'd shoot himself to death in order to annoy you. We know this from the American media, which wasted no time this morning in accusing the Russians of sabotaging their own infrastructure. Bill Kristol, the man who once told us that Saddam Hussein was responsible for 9/11, immediately denounced Putin as a war criminal and even more savagely compared him to Donald Trump. The rest of the pundit class made similar, clearly coordinated noises. Putin did it! Putin did it! And their reasoning was simple. Putin is evil, and evil people do evil things purely for the dark joy of being evil. In this specific case, Putin attacked himself, which is the most evil thing you can do, and therefore perfectly in character for a man that evil. That was their explanation. No one who's paid to cover these things seemed to entertain even the possibility it could have been the Ukrainians who did it. No chance of that. Ukraine, as you may have heard, is led by a man called Zelensky. And we can say for a dead certain fact that he was not involved. He couldn't have been. Zelensky is too decent for terrorism. Now, you see him on television, and it's true you might form a different impression. Sweaty.
Don't worry, all them Nazi symbols that come out of Ukraine, they're just for show.
Christians, a friend of BlackRock. But don't believe your own eyes. Actually, Mr. Zelensky is a very good man. The best, really. As George W. Bush once noted, he is our generation's Winston Churchill. Of all the people in the world, our shifty, dead-eyed Ukrainian friend in the tracksuit is uniquely incapable of blowing up a dam. He's literally a living saint, a man in whom there is no sin.
Remember, he met with the Pope. Oh my goodness, and the Pope worshipped him.
Hanging out together and being good. And like all good people, when they meet in person, they spend a lot of time talking about killing people and laughing like friends do. Here's the pair last week.
Free or die.
Free or die.
Now you are free.
Yes.
And we will be.
And the Russians are dying. This is the best money we've ever spent.
Thank you so much.
No, it's...
The Russians are dying. It's the best money we've ever spent, Graham says. A smile spreads across his thin, quivering lips as he forms the words.
I'd love to see him on the front lines of Ukraine.
Contemplating a breakfast buffet. The aroma of death has aroused Lindsey Graham. Thanks so much, replies Zelensky. He feels the same way. See, there's nothing dark here. Just two middle-aged guys celebrating the killing of a population. They don't seem like the kind of people who'd enjoy flooding villages or starting a famine. And in any case, who cares if they are? It's really not your business. Your job is to support Ukraine. Watch Nikki Haley, a Republican candidate for president.
Oh my God, please, if you're a Republican, never vote for this woman.
Ukraine is a win for all of us. And for them to sit there and say that this is a territorial dispute, that's just not the case. To say that we should stay neutral, it is in the best interest of America. It's in the best interest
This is where I question Trump. He actually trusted this woman to a certain extent.
See? It's very easy to understand. It is vitally important for you to support Ukraine because it's necessary for Ukraine to be supported by you. Your support is mandatory until it's finished, whatever it is, and whatever that means. So shut up and support Ukraine or else you're in trouble. Back when they still taught logic, statements like this were known as tautologies. Something is true because it is.
You know, I went through college and I never heard of a tautology.
It's a self-reinforcing reality. There was a time when tautologies were considered illegitimate arguments, not to mention hilariously stupid. Only dumb people talk like that. Now everybody in power talks like that. Diversity is our strength. Trans women are women. Zelensky is Churchill. It's all self-evidently true. Doesn't need an explanation, and don't ask questions. Sound familiar? Of course it does. That's the
Oh, yes, Tucker come out of the box, huh?
Day in steaming, lumpy portions. By this point, it's possible that American citizens are the least informed people in the world. Your average yak herder in Tajikistan knows who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. It's obvious. Does he think some skinny dude in a dress is actually a girl? Come on.
Although I don't know if you saw the boot, but they found a boot down there.
You've got to be lied to
U.S.
at
Navy.
full volume over a period of years in order to reach conclusions like that. And of course, we have been. The media lie. They do. But mostly they just ignore the stories that matter. What's happened to the hundreds of billions of U.S. dollars we've sent to Ukraine? No clue. Who organized those BLM riots?
Actually, not true. The weapons are ending up in Mexico right now.
What exactly happened on 9/11? Well, it's still classified. How did Jeffrey Epstein make all that money? How did he die? How about JFK? And so endlessly on. Not only are the media not interested in any of this, they are actively hostile to anybody who is. In journalism, curiosity is the gravest crime. Yesterday, for example, a former Air Force officer who worked for years in military intelligence
this is cool.
came forward as a
I believe in
whistleblower to reveal
UFOs.
that the U.S. government has physical evidence of crashed non-human-made aircraft, as well as the bodies of the pilots who flew those aircraft. The Pentagon has spent decades studying these otherworldly remains in order to build more technologically advanced weapons systems. Okay. That's what the former intel officer revealed, and it was clear he was telling the truth.
You think this would be the biggest story everywhere, huh?
UFOs are actually real, and apparently so is extraterrestrial life. Now we know. In a normal country, this news would qualify as a bombshell, the story of the millennium. But in our country, it doesn't. The whistleblower's account ran on a technology website called The Debrief, which you've probably never heard of. The Washington Post had that story, but decided not to run it. The New York Times, meanwhile, just pretended it never happened. On the front page of the New York Times website this morning, there were 5 stories about Ukraine, as well as 4 stories apiece about Donald Trump, trans people, and climate change, the usual lineup. There was nothing at all about how an alien species is flying hypersonic aircraft over our cities. Not one word. So if you're wondering why our country seems so dysfunctional, this is a big part of the reason. Nobody knows what's happening. A small group of people control access to all relevant information, and the rest of us don't know. We're allowed to yap all we want about racism, but go ahead and talk about something that really matters and see what happens. If you keep it up, they'll make you be quiet. Trust us. That's how they maintain control. When Western tourists first started traveling in large numbers to the Soviet Union in the early 1970s, they found that many Russians had a completely warped understanding of the United States. Yeah. They thought that Americans
isn't it amazing how what goes around comes around
in a state of perpetual race war and were desperate to flee to the freedom and prosperity of the Eastern Bloc. They thought this because that's what they had been told. They had no way to know otherwise. The few Russians who understood what was really going on in the rest of the world had learned about it from listening to shortwave radio broadcasts, sometimes under the covers so the neighbors wouldn't hear. 50 years later, it is bewildering to consider the ironies here.
It's funny because I have a shortwave radio and I listen to the news out of Russia now.
To classify more than 1 billion so-called public documents. So at this point, we can't possibly know what our leaders are doing. We're not allowed to know. By definition, that is not a democracy. Yet it's fine with the media. Secrecy is a powerful tool of control. Stop asking how we got so rich. Here's another story about racism. Go eat each other. That's the program. That's how most of us now live here in the United States. Manipulated by lies, silenced by taboos. It is unhealthy and it's dehumanizing, and we're tired of it. As of today, we've come to Twitter, which we hope will be the shortwave radio under the blankets. We're told there are no gatekeepers.
That's what you need to do. You got to listen to shortwave radio.
But in the meantime,
it's the only way you're going to get your news.
We'll be back with much more very soon.
All right, so it's good to live in the free Republican state of Florida under the great leadership of Governor DeSanctimonious. And I'm apologize for not editing this video, but I'm just too tired to do it.